Hey, how's it going everyone, and welcome to my first ever review of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Now, to get you caught up, I have never ever seen The Clone Wars before, despite being a lifelong Star Wars fan. I have a video on this channel explaining why, so if you want to know, go check it out. Now, in the comments of that video, my guy JRod2014 suggested that I watch them chronologically and review them arc by arc. So, today we're going to be discussing what I will refer to as the Battle of Christophsis. This arc contains Season 2, Episode 16, Cat and Mouse, Season 1, Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy, and then wraps up with the Clone Wars movie. So, firstly I'm going to break it down and review each episode, and then give my thoughts on the arc as a whole. Real quick, if you enjoy this video and are interested in sticking around for the journey through the Clone Wars with me, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, let's go ahead and hop on into the review. Enjoy. Okay, so right off the bat, I just have to say, wow. What an amazing introduction to the series for someone watching chronologically. This episode revolves around Anakin as he tries to complete a mercy mission in order to assist Bail Organa and the clones who are under siege on the planet Christophsis. His goal is to deliver much-needed supplies to those on the planet. However, the Republic fleet is engaged in space combat with the Separatists, preventing them from making a move to assist Organa and the clones. Obi-Wan soon arrives and requests Anakin retreat as he has brought a secret weapon with him that could help turn the tides. After begrudgingly retreating, Anakin discovers that Obi-Wan's secret weapon is actually an invisible ship with a cloaking device, allowing them to pass undetected. Anakin, of course, wants to use this for sneak attacks and combat. However, Obi-Wan insists he instead complete his original mercy mission to assist those on the surface. However, Admiral Yularen soon recognizes that the Separatists are being commanded by Admiral Trench, a very well-known and feared admiral who had been thought to have been killed in a prior battle. Trench, being the sneaky and wise admiral he is, realizes something is wrong and sends a ship to begin attacking those on the surface. This forces Obi-Wan's hand to come out of hiding and face Trench head-on. However, knowing this plan won't work, Anakin must make a decision. He either has to complete his mercy mission and leave Obi-Wan to fight off Trench, or he can use his ship and go on the offensive. Of course, this is Anakin we're talking about, so he chooses the latter and attacks. After outsmarting Trench, Anakin uses Trench's own missiles to blow up his ship and then proceeds with his original mission. Alright, well, that was a small little summary of what happened in the episode, so now let's talk about what I thought. I thought this was an amazing episode. I found Trench to be a very good villain in this episode. I thought they built him up pretty good via how scared the Admiral was of him. It was good to see a villain who was very intelligent and didn't fall for any tricks and knew when something fishy was going on. I loved the little peek at the friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin and loved their little quips back and forth. My favorite line in the whole episode, though, would have to be, you'll learn pretty quick that when you serve under General Skywalker, you're always on the offensive. This really shows kind of like how Anakin is regarded within the clone army, that he is an amazing general, but everyone knows that he is attack, attack, attack. This brings me to the last thing I have to say about this episode, and it's going to be a running theme in this video, and I suspect throughout the entirety of the show. I loved seeing how great of a pilot and strategist Anakin is. We saw a little of this in the movies, and it's always said that he's the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy, but it hadn't really been shown to this extent before. But here it is, and I loved every second of it. I mean, he baited Trench into attacking and then used the man's own missiles to destroy his ship. I mean, who does that? Like I said, this episode was great, and I thought it was an amazing intro to this arc, as well as to the series as a whole. This episode opens with Anakin and Obi-Wan planning an ambush on the approaching droid army. They have great position, however, before they can perform this ambush, Obi-Wan and his men are ambushed themselves as droids breach their hiding spot and begin attacking them. This prompts Anakin and his men to hop on over to help out Obi-Wan. After an intense firefight, they manage to get evacuated out of the area to regroup at the base. However, before they leave, one of the clones takes the head of a command droid in order to see how they knew their plan. Upon reviewing the data, it is discovered that there is a spy in their midst, relaying all their plans to the Separatists. Obi-Wan and Anakin then decide to go back behind enemy lines in order to investigate. This leaves Rex and Cody in charge of the clones. Rex and Cody soon realize that the spy is indeed one of their own clones, and they track the transfer signal to be coming from Slick's barracks. After interrogating and questioning all the clones from those barracks, it is discovered that the traitor was Slick all along. This prompts a bit of a fight, with Slick escaping and wreaking havoc on the base by blowing up multiple ships and equipment. Meanwhile, Anakin and Obi-Wan run into Asajj Ventress and the three of them battle it out. However, Anakin and Obi-Wan soon realize that Ventress has a whole army ready to invade the planet of Christophsis, so they have to race back to the clones and prepare for the oncoming assault. Back at the base, Rex and Cody have tracked Slick back to the command center where they trick him out of hiding and arrest him. Afterwards, they assess the damage that Slick had done and discover that despite losing a lot of their weapons, they still have their heavy cannons, which will be important later. Alright, so let's get to what I think about this episode. Now, one of the reasons I was hesitant to watch this show was that I didn't think I would enjoy the episodes that didn't focus on the main characters like Anakin and Obi-Wan. However, I can officially say that I was wrong. While they were in this episode, the main focus was on Rex and Cody trying to find the mole within their ranks. I thoroughly enjoyed this plotline and found it very interesting. It was kind of like a murder mystery show where they had to find the mole through investigation and interrogation. I loved how Rex and Cody completely fooled Slick by leaving the gun on the table, knowing he would leap at the opportunity to grab it and kill them. It just goes to show you how smart and skillful those two are. Now, while we're on the subject of the clones, let's talk about Slick. Earlier, I compared this episode to a murder mystery style show. In those shows, the thing that makes or breaks an episode is the crime/the criminal. More specifically, the killer needs to actually have a good motive that makes sense. I can safely say that in this episode, Slick's motive was a very good one, I thought, and made a lot of sense. His motive was simple. He believed that the clones were only mere slaves to the Jedi and the Republic, and that by switching sides he would escape from under the thumb of the Jedi and the Republic. I have to say, from what I know and have even seen in these two episodes, he has a point. Clones die all the time, and no one bats an eye. They die and fight in a war that they had no part in starting, so for him to want a little freedom, I don't blame him. So overall, Slick was a pretty good antagonist for this episode. It was also cool to see Ventress be introduced and see some lightsaber combat. It's a little hard for me to believe that she could withstand Obi-Wan and Anakin at the same time, but I'll ignore that because there wouldn't be a show if they didn't let her at least escape. Like I said, overall, this was a very good episode. Okay, now here we are at where it all began. This movie is responsible for launching the Clone Wars and getting people interested in wanting more. This movie begins on Coruscant with Mace Windu and Chancellor Palpatine, who are receiving a transmission from Jabba the Hutt. He tells them that his son has been kidnapped and he wants the Jedi and the Republic to track down his son and return him. In exchange, Jabba promises the Republic his allegiance and will allow them to move freely through his trade routes in the Outer Rim, which will give them a much-needed advantage over the Separatists. With the Jedi being spread so thin, however, Mace Windu and Yoda decide that Anakin and Obi-Wan will be tasked with finding the Huttlet. However, they have been unable to contact them, so they dispatch a messenger to deliver the message to Obi-Wan and Anakin. We now cut to Anakin and Obi-Wan, who are currently fighting off the invading droid army on Christophsis. Their comms are jammed, so they cannot message out for help until the ship arrives with the messenger. The hatch opens and out walks none other than Ahsoka Tano. She tells them that they have been ordered by the Council to return to Coruscant. However, they are unable to leave as the planet is under siege and is victim to a blockade. Ahsoka has the idea to relay the message to the ship she came on, and it works, so Anakin and Obi-Wan request reinforcement, and so Yoda brings some reinforcements to assist. Back on the planet, Obi-Wan introduces himself to Ahsoka as her new master, because he had requested a new Padawan. However, it turns out that she had actually been assigned to Anakin. He is obviously not happy about this, but he is forced to take her along the way with him anyway. However, the droids on the surface have activated a shield that protects their advancing forces from heavy cannons and artillery of the clones. This means that someone has to sneak behind enemy lines and deactivate the shield. Naturally, Anakin volunteers and he and Ahsoka sneak past the droid army using the Toy Story method, as I call it. However, once there, Ahsoka, being too eager, runs into a trap which activates a bunch of defensive droid. Anakin has to fight them off while Ahsoka sets the charges. Back at the base, the clones are being overrun, so Obi-Wan orders a retreat to protect the heavy cannons, while he stays back and allows himself to be captured, so he can stall the droid army by faking to be negotiating the terms of surrender. Eventually, the droid general catches on and orders his men to kill Obi-Wan. However, after some smart thinking by Ahsoka, her and Anakin defeat the droids and blow the shield. The clones then proceed to demolish the droid army with the heavy cannons. Up in space, Yoda's forces have also managed to break the blockade. Now, Obi-Wan flies to Tatooine to assure Jabba they will return his son safely. Meanwhile, Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex, and the rest of the clones are tasked with attacking a monastery where the Huttlet is being held. After taking the monastery and rescuing the Huttlet, they soon realize that the Separatists are the ones who kidnapped him in an effort to frame the Jedi. Droid reinforcements show up along with Ventress in order to take the Huttlet back from Anakin. Back on Tatooine, Count Dooku has shown Jabba a video of Anakin with the Huttlet and uses this to prove that the Jedi had him all along. Through some clever maneuvering and ideas by Anakin and Ahsoka, they manage to escape out a back way and are confronted by Ventress. Ahsoka and Ventress have a small duel with Ventress besting Ahsoka quite quickly, and then Anakin comes back up riding a mosquito/bird looking thing, and they escape with the Huttlet to a nearby ship. Meanwhile, Rex and his men are being encircled and pinned down by the droid forces, when Obi-Wan and his team show up to provide much-needed assistance. Against his personal feelings, Anakin decides that he must leave the planet and fulfill the mission rather than stay and help Rex and company like he wants to. Obi-Wan assists the clones and eventually runs into Ventress, with whom he engages in lightsaber combat. The pair fight for quite some time until Obi-Wan bests her following Anakin's departure from the system. Ventress informs Dooku, and he tells Jabba that the Jedi killed his son, and that they are coming to Tatooine to kill him. So Dooku promises to get revenge and take care of him by himself. His plan is to kill the Huttlet and Anakin to cover up what actually happened. After an intense firefight, Anakin and Ahsoka arrive on Tatooine, where they begin their trek to Jabba's palace. However, after a while of walking, they sense the presence of Count Dooku on the planet, and so they split up. Soon after, Anakin comes face to face with Count Dooku and they begin fighting. Eventually, Anakin gets a window of opportunity to leave after Dooku says that he has a plan to kill Ahsoka, so Anakin rushes off to save her. Ahsoka, however, is dealing with some droids, but with the help of R2, she is eventually able to best them. Anakin arrives at the palace before her, thinking the Hutts have her imprisoned or worse, and Jabba is planning on executing him, so Anakin ignites his saber and threatens Jabba. Soon, however, Ahsoka arrives with the Huttlet and returns him to Jabba. While this was all going on, Padme went to speak with Jabba's uncle Zero, where she uncovered that he assisted Dooku in the kidnapping. She presents this to Jabba, and he decides to spare Anakin and Ahsoka, as well as give his allegiance to the Republic, thus giving them their much-needed advantage. That's pretty much it with the movie, so let's dive into what I thought about the movie. This movie was, to put it simply, amazing. I enjoyed every bit of it. Had I been able to see this as a kid, I would have been absolutely hooked on the Clone Wars and desperate to see more. First thing that I really loved in this movie is, of course, the introduction of Ahsoka Tano. Now, I may not have seen all of the Clone Wars, but I do know a lot about and have seen a lot about Ahsoka. She is legendary among Star Wars fans, and I went into this already liking her from everything I have seen prior. So I may be a little biased for the first time viewer, but I thought she was awesome in this movie. I loved how she stood her ground and stood up for herself. I love that she is a little bit reckless, but smart enough to get out of those reckless situations. The main thing I loved about her in this movie is the relationship she has with Anakin. The two of them are pretty much made for one another. We all know that Anakin is notorious for being reckless, but cunning enough to get out of the bad situations, so it's nice to see someone who is actually on the same wavelength as him. The back and forth these two have is amazing and fun and extremely entertaining. Another entertaining aspect of their relationship is that Obi-Wan has had to deal with Anakin being reckless while training him, which led to a lot of frustration through the years. So I think it's funny that Anakin is sort of getting a little payback in the fact that he now has to watch over and teach someone who is almost as reckless as he is. I can just imagine Obi-Wan is laughing on the inside about the whole situation. The next thing I loved in this is, of course, our main man Obi-Wan Kenobi himself. I thought this movie portrayed him perfectly. I loved his little scene where he was stalling the droids while offering a fake surrender, all while being sarcastic and his usual comedic and snarky self. I loved how during his fight with Ventress, it's pretty clear that he is just toying with her and once again stalling long enough for Anakin to escape. Speaking of lightsaber fights, I want to mention that I loved how many lightsaber fights we got in this, and every one of them was incredible. My personal favorite was the rematch of Anakin versus Dooku. I thought the way Dooku was trying to use Anakin's pain he felt being back on Tatooine to get in his head and once again nudge him in the direction of the dark side. I also want to mention that I loved the scene of them flying in and being dropped off at the monastery. The way it was made literally felt like a war movie. How serious the clones were, and the switch from the red light to the green light signaling it was time to drop, then them having to just burst out of the ship immediately into battle, really gave you a new perspective of the Clone War. Finally, my absolute very favorite thing about this movie was Anakin. Anakin / Darth Vader is my favorite Star Wars character, and seeing the way he was portrayed in this movie was incredible. The way he just single-handedly took out those droid tank things at the beginning was amazing, and seeing the way he could maneuver and fly was incredible. He was doing things that didn't seem possible, and I love that because it truly shows how amazing of a pilot he is, along with how powerful he truly is. I also loved how they kind of showed how he's still traumatized by his past, being back on Tatooine, and he gets very angry anytime Ahsoka brings it up. I love that dimension of his character. I hope and expect this portrayal of him to be seen throughout the series, so I'm very excited moving forward. Overall, I found this arc to be a very good story overall. It had me engaged completely throughout all three parts. It shined a new light on the clones through various ways, whether it be having Rex and Cody be the main focus of the episode, or allowing us to see the war from the ground fighting side by side with the clones. I also think it did a fantastic job showing that the clones aren't exactly the same. They each have their own personalities, and it also does a great job of humanizing them and making you like and care for them. I love seeing all the new characters that are introduced, such as Trench, Rex, the Admiral, and most importantly, Ahsoka. Now, unfortunately, I do know that Trench did survive, but I am very intrigued to see how he managed to pull that off. I think it did a great job handling already established characters and gave us a glimpse of what their true potential is. It also developed more of their personality, especially for someone like Anakin, I think. It also did a very good job establishing and showing the relationship between Ahsoka and Anakin, which I know is one that is universally loved by all Star Wars fans. It definitely left me wanting more and very excited to see where this show goes next. All in all, this was a fantastic arc and a great way to introduce the Clone Wars to new watchers, and one that I very much enjoyed. Anyway, that is going to be it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed the video and my review of these episodes. If you did, make sure to leave a like and let me know what you thought about this arc down in the comments. While you're down there, if you have any suggestions on how to improve my review videos, please make sure to let me know. I've done movie reviews, but I found it a bit more confusing how to properly review a TV show and an arc containing multiple episodes. If you did enjoy and want to stick around for my journey through the Clone Wars with me, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and may the Force be with you.